Okay, here we are with the last of the straight swords in Elden Ring, the Sword of Night and Flame. I do have a lot to say about this. I usually talk a lot at the end of videos, but I'm going to front load quite a bit here because there's a lot to say about the Sword of Night and Flame. Obviously upgrades with Somber Smithing Stone, so we take it to plus 10. Now when it comes to the armor, I'm going with this. I'll probably mix it up a little bit. But I did want to note that the Spellblade set complements this weapon quite well because it makes your Ashes of War do more damage. So if you don't care about Poise, then just go with the Spellblade set if you want to get maximum damage out of its Ash of War. For talismans, I'll be running with Shard of Alexander, Green Turtle Talisman, Tree's Favor plus 2. I highly recommend the Carrion Filigreed Crest, however, I'm actually going to be running with the Claw Talisman. For the Flask of Wondrous Physic, I'll be running with Opaline Hard Tier and Crimson Whirl Bubble Tier. You can go with a Magic Enhancing Physic or a Fire Damage Enhancing Physic, but I'd rather play defensively with this weapon. Sword of Night and Flame does require a very specific kind of build to run it. We'll be going with 60 Vigor, 20 Endurance, 12 Strength, 12 Dexterity, 50 Intelligence, and 30 Faith. And I'm going to tell you it may be beneficial for you to take points out of Vigor and put them into Mind because the Ashes of War on this weapon are kind of expensive as far as focus points are concerned. With that said, let's get into the fights. Because I tested this weapon pretty extensively, I do have a lot to say about it. I'm sure I'm not going to cover everything in this little outro nor in the intro. So if there's any kind of comment you need to make, please leave it below. If you have any questions, please ask it and I'll get to you because I'm sure I'm not going to cover everything I actually thought about when I was working with this weapon. For 1v1s and duels, there are much better straight swords than the Sword of Night and Flame. The problem with this weapon in a 1v1 is that you're going to go into the ready stance, your opponent's going to see you go into that and they know you're about to do Comet or you're going to do Flame Burst. You probably won't catch them like that. However, in Invasions, it's really good. You will catch the host and their summons with the Comet or the Flame Burst. 2v2s, it's great. 3v3s, it's great. And in PvP, it's fantastic all around. This weapon will carry you through a whole run and into New Game Plus. The length of the straight sword is kind of average compared to other straight swords, somewhere in the middle. So it's pretty okay at roll catching people. It's not as good as Noble Slender Sword, and it's not as bad as something like Kane's Sword. Overall, I highly recommend it. I do know that the build for it is kind of weird, and the weapon seems to want people to build around it. If you're able to mix in spells or incantations, it's even better, I'm sure. And I do somewhat feel that it kind of needs that to be even better. But next up is going to be the Bastard Sword. It's be starting in the Great Sword category. I hope to see you there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.